A persistent source of tension in the relationship between the United States and China is the status of Taiwan, which has long been a contentious issue between the two countries. The Chinese government considers Taiwan to be an integral part of its territory and has pledged to assert its authority over the island, even through military means if required. Though Beijing has been pressuring Taiwan by sending warplanes and warships for several years, the situation became even more tense after U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited the island last summer, becoming the highest-level U.S. political leader to travel there in 25 years. While there is now a very clear possibility of China invading Taiwan, new insights from the CIA chief indicate that Beijing is unsure of its military ability to pull off a successful annexation. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes what is the CIA chief's assessment of China's potential attempt to invade Taiwan. Let's get started. U.S. Central Intelligence Agency Director William Burns stated Russia's struggles to seize and keep territory in Ukraine over the past year has likely fueled doubts by Chinese leader Xi Jinping that China's military could successfully invade Taiwan later this decade. Mr. Burns said on CBS, "I think our judgment, at least, is that Chinese President Xi and his military leadership have doubts today about whether they could accomplish that invasion. As they've looked at Putin's experience in Ukraine, that's probably reinforced some of those doubts." Mr. Burns said that the U.S. continued to take the threat of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan seriously, adding that the risks of a conflict would greatly grow further into the decade and beyond. U.S. intelligence and defense officials believe that Mr. Xi wants to be ready to do so by 2027, if not sooner. But Mr. Burns said that goal isn't set in stone. He stated, "President Xi has instructed the PLA, the Chinese military leadership, to be ready by 2027 to invade Taiwan, but that doesn't mean that he's decided to invade in 2027 or any other year as well." He added that the Chinese leader was likely surprised and unsettled and trying to draw lessons by the very poor performance of the Russian military and its weapons systems in Ukraine. Mr. Burns said the U.S. and European assistance for Ukraine since Russia's invasion could also be factored into China's calculus about an invasion of Taiwan by demonstrating the West's collective resolve. It's important to note in this context that the relationship between Taiwan and the United States is unofficial and informal and is governed by the Taiwan Relations Act. The Taiwan Relations Act is designed to maintain ambiguity and does not state if the USA will or will not intervene militarily if the PRC attacks or invades Taiwan. Under the Act, the U.S. is obligated to sell arms of a defensive character to Taiwan. While China's military budget and capacity dwarf that of Taiwan, Beijing has reasons to be circumspect. There are two key aspects to this. First of all, unlike Russia, which could easily invade by just moving across the border, the situation with Taiwan is different. China is separated from Taiwan through the Taiwan Strait, which is about 100 miles or 160 kilometers wide. China will have to move its forces across the strait in case it decides to invade, and we all know that this kind of amphibious operation is very difficult. Secondly, China mainly has Russian equipment or their copies created through reverse engineering. As evident in Ukraine, Russian arms have been found to be not as effective as earlier believed. So China will have to take this into account very carefully, especially since, contrary to Ukraine, Taiwan is equipped with many top-of-the-line American weapons. It remains to be seen if Chinese leader Xi Jinping has the guts to take the difficult call, taking into consideration all the crucial facets.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.